Here's something most modern gardeners and farmers don't want to hear. But the old-timers already knew it well. You don't need expensive fertilizers to grow strong, healthy crops. You don't need chemical blends, shiny labels, or a degree in agriculture to understand what soil truly craves. Long before synthetic fertilizers existed, farmers were feeding the land naturally and doing it for free. The secret wasn't in a bag of store-bought pellets. It was in waste, decay, and balance. What kept ancient fields fertile and green can still outperform modern fertilizer in 2025 if you're willing to learn from the soil itself. If you look closely at an untouched forest floor, you'll see something incredible. No one adds chemical fertilizer there. Yet year after year the trees grow tall, the underbrush stays lush, and the soil beneath your boots feels rich, dark, and alive. Nature already figured out the perfect system of recycling nutrients, one that feeds itself through constant renewal. What gardeners call fertility is just the result of billions of microorganisms turning organic matter back into usable food for plants. Modern fertilizers skip that natural process. They force-feed plants with isolated nutrients, which, can work fast but damage long-term soil health. Over time, the soil becomes dependent, lifeless and acidic, like a junkie needing another chemical fix. But when you feed the soil itself, not just the plant, you build a living ecosystem that sustains fertility forever. And here's the beauty. You can do it completely for free, using the same natural techniques our ancestors depended on for centuries. Before synthetic fertilizers took over, farmers knew the secret lay in green manure. Plants grown specifically to be turned back into the soil. Legumes, clover, vetch and mustard were not just crops. They were soil builders. Their roots pulled nitrogen straight from the air and stored it in nodules, effectively enriching the earth naturally. When those plants were chopped down and left to decompose, the nitrogen and organic matter returned to the ground, fueling the next crop without costing a dime. This simple cycle was the foundation of sustainable agriculture across Europe, Asia, and early America. It worked because it mimicked nature's own blueprint: grow, decay, feed, repeat. Today, the same technique can revive depleted garden beds, transform poor soils, and eliminate the need for store-bought fertilizer. All you need are fast-growing plants and a little timing. Plant them after harvest or between main crops. Let them grow for a few weeks, then cut and dig them under before they flower. The decomposition will release nutrients gradually while improving soil texture and microbial life. While green manure restores nutrients biologically, compost completes the natural loop by turning organic waste into concentrated food for the soil. Every scrap of vegetable peel, dried leaf and grass clipping has the potential to rebuild your garden's fertility. What's truly amazing is that compost works better than most fertilizers because it feeds both the plant and the invisible ecosystem beneath it. When you compost, you're creating a living factory of microbes. These bacteria, fungi and worms break down matter into humus, the dark, crumbly substance that holds moisture and nutrients like a sponge. The process is simple but powerful. Start with alternating layers of greens, kitchen waste, fresh grass, manure, and browns, dry leaves, sawdust, paper. Keep it moist but not soggy, and turn it occasionally for air. Within weeks, the heat of decomposition builds, signalling the breakdown of carbon and nitrogen into a perfect soil amendment. Once ready, mix it directly into your beds or top-dress it around plants. It not only adds nutrients but also improves drainage, aeration and water retention. Unlike fertilizers that flush through with the next rain, compost builds structure and resilience, traits that chemical additives can never replicate. There's another ancient method that's making a powerful comeback: biochar. It traces its roots to the Amazon basin, where indigenous people created terra preta. That's dark, fertile soil that has stayed productive for thousands of years. The trick lies in partially burning organic material, like wood or husks, in a low-oxygen environment. The result is a lightweight, porous carbon structure that, holds water, nutrients and microbial colonies far better than raw soil. Biochar doesn't directly feed plants, but it enhances the soil's ability to store and recycle nutrients. When mixed with compost or manure and added to beds, it acts as a long-term soil stabilizer. Unlike fertilizers that need constant replenishing, biochar lasts for decades. It's the perfect example of how ancient methods outlive modern shortcuts. You can make your own by burning wood in a closed container with minimal airflow, then crushing the charred remains and soaking them in compost tea before applying. This prevents it from leaching nitrogen and ensures it starts working immediately once added to the ground. You can start today without spending a cent. Stop throwing away organic waste. Turn it into compost. Between harvests, plant cover crops like clover or mustard to rebuild nitrogen levels. If your soil feels tired, add a mix of compost and a handful of homemade biochar. And if you live in a dry area, mulch with leaves, straw or grass to prevent evaporation and feed the soil life below. Each of these techniques does more than feed your plants. They build living soil. And when your soil thrives, everything else follows. Stronger roots, higher yields, and natural pest resistance. It's the opposite of industrial farming, which focuses on short-term gains. You're restoring balance the way nature intended, one handful of humus at a time. Over time, your soil becomes a self-sustaining ecosystem. It holds water during drought, drains efficiently during rain, and produces crops that taste better and last longer. Farmers of the past didn't have fancy lab fertilizers. They had patience, observation, and respect for the land's natural cycle. You can reclaim that same power right in your backyard or homestead garden. When you start viewing soil as a living community instead of a lifeless medium, everything changes. You stop fighting nature and start working with it. Fertilizers may give you a quick boost, but they rob your soil of long-term vitality. By contrast, compost, green manure and biochar restore what's been lost. This isn't about rejecting modern progress. It's about remembering what worked long before the chemical age. Nature's system is efficient, free, and infinitely renewable. The more you feed the soil with life, the more it feeds you in return. The truth is, you don't need to buy fertility. You just need to rebuild the natural processes that have sustained ecosystems since the beginning of time. Skip the fertilizers and let the soil teach you how to feed it. The forests, fields and farmers of the past already wrote the guide. You just have to follow it. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to subscribe to HydraHaven and share this video with others who care about growing smarter, not harder. The best gardens are built on wisdom, not chemicals, and the soil is waiting to prove it.